Well, what a flipping crock this was, because the opening of SmackDown was everybody in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match coming to the ring to have a chat, but they weren't sat atop ladders. How am I supposed to know what kind of stipulation it is if you are not sat on the inanimate object to relate to the match that you're in? Poppycock. Also, hello my friends. Welcome to Ups and Downs for our WWE SmackDown, and ignore the environment today, whatever you want to call it, because I am editing this video because the What Culture editors are taking a much deserved break. So, if weird things happen, it's my fault. And yes, if weird things happen in your life too, it's also my fault. The internet's telling me this every single day. I'm just gonna stand here and punch myself in the face. Let's up those downs. Now, this opening actually was quite funny because it did kick off with Jey Uso. He was even like, thank goodness I got over the border and got into Canada. Now, that's quite a controversial subject. If you want to read about it, Google is your friend, or maybe your enemy. I don't know your past relationship. Clearly, LA Knight didn't agree with this because he came out and he was super mad, although he actually had some advice for Jey Uso. He was like, oh, well, apparently, word on the street is you're the favourite for this year's Money in the Bank. Well, do you know who the favourite was last year? It was me. And did I win? No, I didn't. LA also said that he respects Jey, but the way that he's going to show him respect tomorrow night, or tonight, is by showing him no respect at all. And I was like, sorry, bro, that doesn't make any sense. That's like saying I like pizza, but I don't like bread, I don't like cheese, and I don't like tomato. They then started to stare at each other to let you know this is super serious. And when they got in kissing distance, LA Knight started to go, yeah, whereas Jey Uso started to go yeet. So LA Knight went, yeah, and Jey Uso started to go yeet. And I'm sorry, if you were just a passerby and you didn't watch wrestling, this must have been the most confusing thing ever. Yeah. Are you seeing this? Yeah. What the fuck are those two doing? Carmelo Hayes must have thought this was crazy as he soon interrupted and he was all like, ha, Toronto don't want to hear all this yeet and yeah stuff. Look, I understood where he was coming from, but he was also totally incorrect. This crowd was loving it. I also think that Carmelo said the last time he saw LA Knight, his head was up Logan Paul's ass. I was like, what the hell have they been doing in their spare time? When Chad Gable came out, quite rightfully so. He was like, man, I'm so spooked right now because the White Six are after me. Andrade didn't want to hear any more of this though, so he then came out and he said something along the lines of, dreams don't win Money in the Bank matches. I was like, I actually know what that means. This really was like a Raw from 5 years ago, because then Drew McIntyre entered. Of course, he was like, I hate CM Punk. So the fans started chanting CM Punk, but hey, CM Punk and his family will always be close to his heart, because he's still wearing a bracelet. He also said it gives him violent powers, which is what CM Punk is going to suffer eventually, and all these people in the Money in the Bank ladder match will feel the same if they get in his way. When he just started to insult all of them, and he called Andrade El Idiot. For some reason, it made me laugh. He also said, Carmelo Hayes, you've got a great future, but you ain't him, which is quite a diss onto that guy. Then, of course, he turned to Knight and he went, Noah. I don't think he did the R, because it sounds like Noah's Ark, but he was taking his catchphrase and flipping it. He also did question Jey how he did get across the border, so we were really going into this. And I think it took Andrade a few seconds before he went, wait a minute. That guy insulted me because he flew in, we had a big old brawl, and the interesting part is the last two dudes standing were LA Knight and Jey Uso. Now by WWE logic, that means come later, they ain't winning. So this was okay, and I mean that in the literal sense. Like, WWE has been way more creative than this over the last 12 months or so. It wasn't like it was bad and they all had fun things to say, but it was a bit like, I think we can kind of speed it up a bit. So I would call it formulaic, and look, we don't give thumbs middle on this show. We do give thumbs up and thumbs down, but you know, I'm a positive Pete, so I shall give it an up, and at least it got everybody in here to advertise the pay-per-view premium live event till later. And that match should be very good, so yeah, up. Jackie Redmond was then interviewing Bayley in the back, and she wanted some tips on how to win Money in the Bank. So I was like, damn. Jackie may be in the thing. Bayley was also speaking about how winning the briefcase can be so rewarding when Chelsea Green walked in and just went, you are totally irrelevant. You also said you wouldn't even be champion now if I hadn't been kicked out of that match when you were facing Piper Niven, when Piper turned up from nowhere and she squished Bayley into the wall. It's like, wait a minute, we have time traveled back 3 weeks. We then saw Bayley come out of Nick Aldis's office and they were gonna have a match later. And I tell you, one thing that Bayley really needs is a proper feud she can stick her teeth into, but hopefully that will be the Nia Jax thing, and we do get more of that later. When the Street Profits defeated Pretty Deadly. Of course they did. Now I'm still hoping that we do get this Pretty Deadly musical, because let's not forget that's where the beef is here. These two were talking about it last week, and Montez Ford and Angela Dawkins were so scared they may get this production, they challenged them to a fight. Listen, I understand that Pretty Deadly lost, but I don't care. Make it happen. Kit Wilson did get booted in the head to start all of this though, and even when Elton Prince was trying to get involved, he got smashed as well. So I was like, come on guys, you have to get the winner's purse here, otherwise how are you going to fund your musical? Pretty Deadly then remembered, oh wait a minute, we could work together, so they started whooping Angelo Dawkins' ass, although him and Kit then basically got into a headbutt battle. I was like, man, I did not expect that. Thankfully, the whole time during this, Montez Ford had just been warming up his hands, so when he was ready, he got the hot tag, and he just moved so damn fast, and he hit this standing moonsault like it was nothing. Like, if I tried to do that, I'd probably die. Someone give him a medal. So he was definitely using all of his MP, and he must have run out of the damn thing, because when he went to team the turnbuckle, he did get cut off by Pretty Deadly, where they hit this massive superplex, and just when it looked like they were going to win, Angelo dove off the top two. That was a very good sequence of events. It also meant they all fell to the outside when Montez did his big old dive, and that kind of rhymed, so it must have been the right thing to do when he went to the top rope, and he hit the splash of the frogs. That was it. 1, 2, 3. I was like, well, it was very entertaining. That kind of passed me by. So I have no idea what we do next, because again, this was very decisive, but I'm just going to double down on this. Please give me the Pretty Deadly musical. I mean, even when they came out here in their outfits, they make me chuckle. I am going to throw a pointless down in there, because I do think both these teams have lost direction at the moment, so they should be getting double the love at the moment. But again, that's just a personal thing to hopefully manifest it into existence. But the match was good. The teams are great. I'm giving it an up. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory were then talking to each other because they do have their big tag team title match later. And Grayson had to say, listen, mate, I know you're worried about the fact you lost to Johnny Gargano, but you can't get down about that. So, as usual, he was manipulating him there, although he promised that they wouldn't lose the championships as long as they stuck together. Because, hey, look at you now. Thanks to me, Grayson Waller, you are better than ever. I was like, you are definitely losing, and you two are definitely breaking up. We then did get some time from last week too, because it was Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair taking on Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, because of course Indy and Candice had basically screwed both of them over. Now the result of this was so expected, I would have bet Daniel Garcia's mum's life on it. I suppose the only issues I have with any women's tag team matches, they never get more than 5 minutes, and eventually we are going to have to start giving them more than 5 minutes, because you need to start believing in these things, and that just requires time. That's how it works. That's why I was glad we did at least have some story here, and Indy and Candice went after Jade's arm, and I was like, that's really smart. She's a powerhouse, and she's only got one arm, she'll only be able to do half the power moves. Maths. Sadly though, eventually Hartwell and LeRae did boot each other in the face, which was an accident, and much like earlier, Bianca Belair had gone, wait a minute, if I take my hand and I dunk it into this very warm water, oh my gosh, it feels hot. Big slap. She also quite literally threw Indy into Candice, because she can do it all, including a moonsault, and by this time Jade Cargill had been scrambling around the floor. She found a Phoenix down, she ate it, and she was good to go again. Now, LeRae did actually try to trick her, because she hit the most devastating move in all the spots and attempted a surprise roll-up, and I guess a little bit, but as soon as that didn't work, I was like, man, you two are dead. This was true as well, because Cargill and Belair both hit their finishes at the same time, so this team is definitely done. 1, 2, 3. They were interviewed afterwards too, and made it very clear they are going after the tag team championships, so I really don't know how this is all going to work out. Because you do have Albert and Isla, but they ain't doing much of anything either. So I suppose this SmackDown felt very much like we have a pay-per-view tomorrow, but we'll get back to next week. But I'm still going to give it an up, mostly because I really like Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, and I like Candice and Indy too. They probably deserve a little bit more. I guess the overall takeaway here could be that it didn't have much heat, but I tell you what does, everything happening with the bloodline. So out came Kevin Owens, Randy on Cody Rhodes to big up the fact they do have their big 6-man tag match later. And Cody even talked about the fact that Sami Zayn had his big comedy thing the night before. And apparently Johnny Knoxville was there, and he punched Zayn right in the face. The feud that will never die. Rhodes also made it clear he's done with these new bloodline idiots, because they are a bunch of asshats, when Randy was like, yeah, I'm going to finish you off with the 3 most dangerous letters in the alphabet, ABC. Not ABC. Not Sesame Street, RKO. Kevin Owens then got on the microphone, and of course this place exploded because we were in Canada, and this always makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum on Pro Wrestling Tees right now, because Kevin still doesn't get his flowers. I genuinely think when it comes to the modern era, he is one of the very, very best. Turns out he deserved even more love as well, because he told a story about this week, because a few days ago his dad had called him and said, your mother is in the hospital. So quite rightfully, he's been by her bedside for the last week. And the only reason he did come back to work is because his mother has always supported his career, and she would be super pissed if he didn't do this. So honestly, if you wanted some out of nowhere emotion in your wrestling, Kevin Owens went and gave it to you. So I just want to send all the love to Owens and his family too, and once again, it's a very timely reminder. These are human beings that just so happen to be wrestlers, sometimes just try and be a little bit nicer. We don't know what's going on. Kevin then also let us know his mother's other wish, which was to destroy the bloodline. I was like, man, I need a family like that. My mum still calls it that WWE thing. KO then threw the mic down, so man, this has all the fire behind it now. And of course, when we get to that match later on, you would have to presume that it's going to end with Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes. The internet is going to melt down. So you can just smell that something is going to go down, but also, isn't it just so nice to have three baby faces that are beloved by everybody and get cheered? I think so. There was a time a few years ago where WWE was miles away from that, and right here, we had three of them in the ring. This was good stuff. Up. When Bayley beat Piper Niven. And of course she did. Now there was actually something going on here, because straight away we saw Io Sky in the crowd watching on, but Piper didn't care about this. She grabbed Bayley and she crushed her. She also brutally threw her into the ring post. That made me go, oh my gosh. When we also saw that Lyra Valkyria and Zoe Stark were watching on too. Now, I've seen a lot of baloney on that there intel. People saying, oh man, I can't believe Zoe Stark is in the Money in the Bank match. Well, you must have missed Raw ups and downs. Because that's right, I demand you get on the Zoe Stark train of fun, which I have created. Choo choo. Shouldn't have done that because I like Zoe Stark and I think she has an upside. So on this show, we stan Zoe Stark. No, we don't stan her. I hate that phrase. It always sounds creepy, but we are going to get behind her every step of the way until she wins a title. Tiffany Stratton must have felt left out too because she then just walked to the ring. And actually, this did make all the sense in the world because everybody else in the Money in the Bank was out there. So why shouldn't she be? Naomi had also accompanied Bayley to the ring, which she had promised earlier. And when Chelsea Green was trying to be a goober, Naomi went and grabbed her, hurled her into Barry Barricade. And that's when all of the competitors in the ladder match went, well, if they're going to fight, we're going to do it too. Big old brawl, that's wrestling. Now, of course, this must have distracted Piper because she was a wrestler with shenanigans happening outside of the ring. So she went for a splash. Bayley got out of the way using dodge powers courtesy of Arkham Asylum. She hit the Rose Plant and she won. Just like that. The funniest part is before that, Tiffany Stratton just got in the ring and did a moonsault from the top onto everybody else on the outside. And just as Bayley was celebrating with her title, Nia Jax teleported in from the Starshake Enterprise and she took Bales out, not to dinner. This thing got totally out of control because Meechin of all people ran off to scare Nia away and she had a kendo stick. I was like, well, where did you get that from? I don't think there's a kendo stick store down the road. It did make perfect sense though, because of course she has been beating up Meechin for all of these weeks. So now I presume we can get to next week and either do the singles match or you could do the tag. So look, I actually thought this was a more creative way to promote the women's Money in the Bank match than the men's one. So if that one got an up, this one is totally getting an up. But we probably shouldn't do Piper Niven versus Bayley again. Kind of feels like it's done. All of this was building to our main event though, and we were with DIY, who cut this wonderful promo before they walked to the ring. And of course, they were facing Grayson Waller and Austin Theory for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And this was just wonderful. Because of course we were in Toronto, and if you know your NXT history, DIY have some fabulous memories here. And we did so many callbacks. Also, as soon as this thing started, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa did a couple of double dives. Of course they did, it's 2024. I then thought they were going to get screwed by the commercial break, but you're not going to believe this. When we came back from the advert, Johnny Gargano was working over Austin Theory's arms. I was like, oh my gosh, he figured it out. Somebody call the presses. One of them freaked out on the outside, so he cast distraction, which is when Austin used that to take over. This is when A-Town Down Under also started to take control of the match. And I was like, oh no. I didn't do that. What am I watching? A crappy horror movie? No. Johnny was so annoyed with Grayson though, he hit with the Canadian Destroyer on the outside of the ring. When we got back in the ring and Austin was like, nope, I'm gonna break your neck with a neck breaker. And he did. One of them whammed him with a knee too, so it did not look good for DIY. Well, we basically did what we did earlier, because Grayson Waller and Austin Theory were not on the same page for about 8 milliseconds, and they crashed into each other. Tommaso Ciampa, his hand was just sweating, and he got a hot tag too. This led to an absolutely fantastic callback though, because DIY then did hit the Shatter Machine for a great 1-2-ooh, and because I'm a sucker for nostalgia, I bought it, I even opened my wallet. Tommaso Ciampa then won a wild brawl where Gargano was back in there, and they hit the meat in the middle. This was another great tease, because it looked like they were going to lose, and Austin Theory at the last second grabbed Grayson's foot, and he put it on the rope. And listen, you have to put that in your brain, because throughout this match, do you know who was saving it for his team? It was Austin Theory. And what does Grayson Waller do? He walks around going, oh, Austin, you're always holding his back, mate. It's not true at all. It all led to Ciampa and Gargano finally deciding, you know what, man, we have to travel back in time here, which was very thematic for this episode of SmackDown, and they both locked on cross faces. I was like, it's gonna happen, and it did. Austin and Grayson both tapped out. we have brand new WWE Tag Team Champions. Once again, Austin almost saved it for his partner here because Waller was going to tap out when he held his hand. I love that is a rule, and everybody here just loved this, as did I, and it is absolutely something DIY does deserve. And while Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are about to break up, I've enjoyed them as a team too, so this filled my heart with joy. Getting it up. We also got all the pyro, and I presumed that the show was going to end, but I forgot on the early in the night we'd been told we'll hear from the Bloodline, and we did. We cut to a video. It also meant we learned what they have been doing over the last 7 days, because this was a very well edited video, where Solo Sikoa basically told us, hey man, I am the brand new tribal chief. So we are not standing on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne. We have actually made it very clear that Solo wants nothing to do with Roman anymore, and he is standing on his own 2 feet. I mean, he even challenged Roman to come back to the show and try and take this away from him. Even I was getting a bit scared. I was like, I think you should do that, Reigns. He may kill you. He also promised Cody that by the end of Money in the Bank, he shall be acknowledging him as the tribal chief. So we are not playing around. They also ended this by showing off the brand new Bloodline 2.0 salute. I mean, it's basically the same as the old one, but you hold your finger closer to your bosom. This was really good though, and can't have gone longer than 2 minutes, but I just think Solo Sikoa is doing such a good job in this role, and with his 3 goons behind him who look like they're going to kill you, well, it's just one big bravo from me, because we have totally redone the Bloodline, but actually they feel more scary than ever. Also, just imagine the pop when the whole "Da-la Zibe," which is Roman Reigns' entrance music hit, is going to be wonderful. And given this is so short, if you do have time today, go out and watch it. It's getting it up. Which brings us to the end of a very funny SmackDown, because while the ups and downs counter are very favourable in terms of the ups, it's actually quite an average show. But listen, you don't have to give something a down if it's just okay. Sometimes you need okay. I mean, we do have 54 episodes in a year. Not 54, 52 episodes in a year. How many weeks are in a year? I've lost my mind. So make sure you lose your mind too by letting me know how wrong I am in the comments. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And boom, click the video on the screen, which are my thoughts for AEW ups and downs, or ups and downs on Dynamite. I'm just screwing all of this out. I'll also be back tomorrow with the Finger of Power to talk to you about Money in the Bank, so make sure you enjoy that show because it comes but once a year. Appreciate the support as always, my friends. See you soon.